In this video, we're going to be discussing Rabbi Shlomo Alkebetz, a great Kabbalist of the 16th century. He was born in approximately the year 1500 or 1505, depending on who you ask, in Salonika, Greece. Salonika apparently is the second largest city in Greece, to a prominent Sephardic family. He marries the daughter of a person named Rabbi Yitzchak Cohen, and as a wedding gift, instead of giving a dowry or some sort of gift, he gives the family, his wife and his future in-laws, his first commentary, one of his first works called Manot Levi. It is a book about on the book of Esther. He was a Levite, a Levi, so many of his works are signed Shlomo Halevi. So I guess that's where he got the name Manot Levi from. They decided approximately the year 1529 or so to go to Israel, and on their way they stop in Adrianople, I forget how to pronounce it, a city in Turkey, and he stays there for approximately 5 years as he was requested to stay there. And over there, he writes most of his published works were actually made over there, including many commentaries and other books. Other books like of Megillas, for example. One of his original work was on the Megillah Esther. He writes a book on Ruth. He writes a book on Shir Shirim and others, and also a book of sermons. Later, there are other writings that he writes when he gets to the land of Israel, which include the more Kabbalistic writings, the Kabbalah of, for example, blessing after meals, etc., and many other Kabbalistic works. He arrives in the city of Sfat in Israel in approximately the year 1535. Over there, he meets up with this group of Kabbalists, which becomes famous, the Sfat Kabbalists, including Rabbi Yosef Karo, the author of the Shulchan Aruch, which we discussed previously, becomes his student, and his brother-in-law, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, becomes his brother-in-law, the famous Kabbalist in Sfat, and the Al-Sheikh and others. They all become this group, and Rabbi Shlomo Alkebetz beginning starts off as the leader of that group. Eventually, it seems that he becomes a student, actually, of his own brother-in-law, who started off as his student, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, who married his sister. At some point later, the Arizal, which we'll discuss in a later video, becomes the leader of that group as well. But Rabbi Alkebetz is a very important part of that group, and he attributes most of his Kabbalistic ability to his prostrating at the graves of righteous people, of tzaddikim, which obviously existed in the land of Israel a lot. He also said in general that the true Torah can only be understood, and the depth and the secrets of the Torah can only be understood in the land of Israel. And again, at some point, he was a leader of this group, but eventually defers to his brother-in-law and later the Arizal. He is most famous probably for being the author of Lecha Dodi. Is the hymn that we sing every Friday night, part of the Kabbalat Shabbat, part of the receiving Shabbat before we begin the actual evening service, that we say a few psalms, followed by Lecha Dodi, and then a few paragraphs after that begins the evening service. What is interesting and fascinating is that the Lecha Dodi became, which again is a Kabbalistic work, it explains Kabbalistically why the Kabbalah, the mysticism of accepting the Shabbat. And fascinating enough, it actually becomes accepted first amongst the Sephardic community, and eventually, very soon after his passing, and eventually it becomes accepted in every single siddur you will find, modern or past 300 plus years. Every siddur has the Lecha Dodi prayer, and he actually signs his name, Shlomo Halevi, in the beginning of every paragraph. You could find, you'll see that it says Shlomo Halevi, Shlomo the Levite, referring to Rabbi Shlomo Alkabetz. He passes away in the year 1580 at approximately the age of 75 or 80 years old. and he is buried in Sfat. And so the legacy of Rabbi Shlomo Alkebetz is really being a part of this Kabbalistic group. He was present, for example, when the Magid, this angel, comes to talk to Rabbi Yosef Karo, we discussed in a previous video. He was present there. He records that. So he's important in the Kabbalistic idea, in the Kabbalistic society, and part of being the founders of that group that ends up changing Kabbalah forever, as we'll discuss in further videos. And also, probably the biggest legacy of Rabbi Shlomo Alkabetz is, of course, being the one who authors Lecha Dodi, which is sung by every single Jewish community throughout the world for the past few hundred years. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. If you have any questions, comments, we'd love to hear it. If we made a mistake or something you think we should have added, please let us know. Thank you very much.